Welcome back. So at this point, hopefully in the semester, you already have some grades that are figuring in, and you want to see what your grade book looks like. So I have a couple assignments. I'm in a class. I have a couple assignments that I've asked. A couple of them have scores, a couple of them don't. Doesn't matter. But I want to see how my students are doing in the class. And if I wanted to see how they're doing on individual assignments, I get the little averages. I could click on these averages and see how the distributions are. I can go in and see what individual grades are for the assignments, but I want to see what it looks like for grades, for the overall grades of a class. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the little grade menu option here, and I'm going to click on Student Grades. And the view that first pops up is going to list my students. It's going to give me the EIDs for them, a unique number, their email address, and it'll give me their overall average, which is based off of the grading scheme, so how I have my gradebook set up. It'll tell me what their average is and what is their letter grade. And their letter grade is based off of these specified ranges here. So you have to get a 93 at least to get an A in my class. A 90 or above gets you an A minus. So it's a pretty nice view, pretty easy to see. I can actually click on these columns and sort it. So if I want to see Mr. Lewis, Jason, myself are all in the top of the class, and Ian and Mr. CNS are failing the class. I can see how bad they are based off of their averages. Here I can also bump up or bump down grades. So right here, Ian is pretty close to passing the class. I'm going to be generous, and I'm going to bump him up to a D minus. So it's easy to override the grades here as well. And that way when I see it, it actually marks it as a D minus, even though they should have gotten an F for this class. One of the cool views here is I can open up this grade distribution graph, and it'll show me the distribution of the grades for the class. And since that one student, that CNS student, has absolutely no scores, it doesn't include it in this graph. So just kind of be mindful of that. But you'll see two A's, an A minus, and a D. So if I go back to my previous view, that's what I came up with here. It's a nice way to see the distributions in a graph form. We also give you that same information right here. And then again, you have the ability to change it if you want. Finally, it'll show you a class average, a GPA for the class, which is based off of standard 4-point scale. So 4.0 for the A's, a 3.0 for the B's, and it calculates what the average for the GPA is. All this stuff is really good. Well, maybe you want to get a little bit deeper in and you're trying to figure out if Ian really deserves to get that D minus. So what I can do is I can go in and look at the summary. And the summary was going to go and look at each of my grading categories. So my exam category, my homework category, my learning module category, maybe my final exam category, maybe my in-class participation. And it'll show me the scores for each of them. So right now I can see that Ian is doing pretty good on his learning modules. He's doing horribly on his homework and exams, and his overall average is a little bit below his learning modules because there's a lot of weight on those. Same thing with these guys. They're doing really good on their learning modules. They're kind of doing horrible on their exams and their homework, but they're still in the passing range. Well, this pull-down menu has all of the different types of assignments that have grades in them. So if I wanted to actually see all of the learning module grades, I can go in and now I'm actually seeing each individual student and how they did on that assignment. If I were to click on this link, it would go into that particular assignment. But if I click on the white space near it, I can actually reorder the grades based off of it. So a lot of people will accidentally screw up and hit this and it rescales, but it actually is loading a page into the assignment. So it's all really good views that you can do. Up here, if you're actually in the individual grades, you can actually look at what their percentages or what points they've actually earned for the learning modules, just in case you wanted to see. Or if you're using the bell curve grading or scale scored grading, you can look at it in that way and see how they are doing compared to the rest of the class. So You can see who your top students are, who your bottom students are, kind of the distribution of how things are going. So there's a lot of stuff in this this student grades view. There's another bit of information under grading that you might find useful, and that's the grade by subject area. So if I click on this, what it's going to do is it's going to show me the details of all my questions, and it's going to show me how my students are doing on those chapters and sections. So when we made our assignments, we went to a specific bank, like the All Math Bank. We looked at the geometry problems, and we looked at the net solids. And I'm seeing that my students are doing pretty good on that. They're actually doing better on sets of objects. So I can see how they're doing on each chapter and section of problems. That'll give me an average. A lot of times I actually don't like to show the details, so I like to see the chapters, but the sections are too fine-grained, so if I uncheck that, it'll actually reduce it down. So maybe I had a bunch of geometry problems. They all will fall into this one chapter. So some really nice views. This is a great way if you're looking to prepare for a review session, or you're worried that your students aren't getting something and you just want to know for sure. You can look at it under the grades by subject area, which is under that grading menu. And again, you can actually look at each of the individual assignment types and see how they're doing on those particular assignment types. So if I wanted to see how they're doing on exams with this type of problem, this is a useful area to go. So hopefully this video helped show you some new things you didn't know. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to contact us, and thanks for watching.